All right, that's one.
Buddy, are you ready?
That is one.
That's one. That's two.
Two.
And we are live.
And we are live. Todd Richards, of course, the great uh, Chef Stephan here. We
And
are
we are
on Roots,
live.
Heart, and what is it
And
called? Roots, Heart,
and
and what?
soul. And soul.
Roots, Heart, and Soul podcast.
And soul, baby.
Heritage Radio Network. We are on a Tuesday, 5/13. We're back from a little bit of a week of vacation. And I think we both needed from a little bit of R&I mental exhaustion, graduations, Mother's Days, everything else happening in the world.
Everything
Yeah,
else, everything else in between, man.
everything else in between. It's been a crazy a year thus far. Stephan is still in parts unknown somewhere in Orlando. I happen to be in Philly this week. This city of brotherly love. I haven't had a cheesesteak yet, but I'm going to have one probably tonight,
So,
for sure.
brother, let me first by saying,
Yes,
it's important that we acknowledge certain things. I think
yes,
that's one of the wonderful things that makes us human.
yes,
My sympathies, first of all, to your wife's mother.
yes.
Losing a mom is like something out of uh, unexplainable.
If you can only think about living to being a 90 plus, in this world of fast life and things like that. But when you have the opportunity to live to 90 plus and then you get just to sit and not worry about anything, and the only thing you want to know is that the grits are smooth, that the coffee is hot, you know, that the catfish is crispy, you know, that Steve Harvey is on TV, the Family Feud is already on.
Absolutely,
I mean, what else are we talking about here?
absolutely, man.
Um,
So as I've been I'm still battling with my legs.
yeah.
So I had a surgery not a couple of days ago, and I'm supposed to be back on my feet, man. Like I said, God has His own plan. No matter what we want to do, no matter how we want to get it done, we have to abide by His will, and I think it's fitting that I'm saying that.
No,
It's really it's really
always fitting when you say something.
it's really fitting when I'm saying this
Correct.
because when I met these two individuals, these two wonderful people, it felt like there was a human connection right away that I hadn't felt with the many that I've met. The way this happened. Um, I connected with both Matthew and Tia, and especially Tia and I got into a conversation that just went. I'm like, I've known this lady for 25 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Right
it's
off.
like I've known her for 25 years. Um, um, the connection was real. The human connection was real. The chef's connection was even better. And I just think, one of the things that we seem to forget to do in this technological era is to have real connection with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For sure.
So it's really my pleasure to introduce uh, Matthew and Tia to the show. We've been talking about getting them on the podcast for a while, and,
Hmm.
and like I said, God does things at His own time, and
Absolutely.
you know. So
Sure.
so Tia and Matthew, welcome to Roots, Heart and Soul.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you
Thank
both.
you.
Thank
We
you
are
both.
both honored.
For
Before
sure.
we get into it, we just want to wish you both our well wishes, our condolences, our healing vibes as you recover from surgery. And, you know, we're all in this together, right?
Yep. And send us an
Yep.
address. We can send you a little something.
Yeah, he needs some. Well, I'm not going to embarrass him. Actually, I am. I'm going to embarrass him, man, because these people don't know that Roots Heart Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network. It's also a dating game show, and I've been trying to get this brother married, and some eligible woman out there to take care of this fiery, very handsome young debonair man, for a while. So if you guys, as much as you all are traveling around the globe and stopping all these wonderful places, if there's a suitable young lady out there for the great Chef Stephan, we are we are accepting applications. I'll be the interviewee. For this fine gentleman.
I've been in trouble with this young gentleman, young,
Well, I will tell you, if our love story is any advice to you, as we start going into,
it's really interesting that we're talking about love, because when I connected with you guys, I automatically saw not only the connection I had with you, but the connection you guys had together. Just this seamless way of loving each other. I see that with Todd, and I see that with you guys, and it really it still gives me hope. It still does. It still does.
Well, if our love story is anything you take advice from, you probably already know her.
Hey,
you probably do.
Been there, done that, got the gold star.
You already know her.
You probably already know her.
Got the star.
Right, and you've known her for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm listen. I'm hoping there's definitely still someone out there.
I mean, the question is, does she know you? That's the question.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't give me. Hey, don't give me a week off, bro. I got him. Don't give me a week off.
This guy is a comedian. He's a comedian with a week off, so he's got plenty of stuff to talk about now.
All right.
He's got for the jokes to just land.
I know. All right. So just fun. Let's do the introduction. Let's get this bio. Let's tell the world who we're speaking with right quick.
Absolutely. To introduce them, we'll start with the word Strong Roots 9. What does that mean? Wow. Honoring the past and growing the future. The life of she farmers, chef and farmer, Chef Matthew Rayford and Chef Tia Rayford, began over a quarter of a century ago when they were students at the Culinary Institute of America. And then in 2021, they married. So we're going to start the story with that. And then we're going to develop from there.
All right.
We're going to develop from there. So, I love the word honoring the past and growing the future. Obviously, you guys are into farming, so growing is going to be a common word, but I think it's got a much bigger definition than that. Let's start with Strong Root 9. What does that mean, and where do you guys see to develop that concept?
So Strong Roots 9 comes from the fact that the land's been in my family since 1874.
Wow.
And so we have, in 1874, Jupiter Gilliard purchased 476 acres of land.
Wait. Say it again. 476 acres of land.
Land.
Wow.
for
Okay.
$9 for $9 in taxes. So the number, yeah, know that you can't buy 476 acres of land today
For $9.
Yeah.
for $9.
For $9.
Happening, right?
I mean, you can't really even buy 476 acres of land. You know.
No,
Right.
no.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
There you go. You can, however, go to the store and get yourself some water that we now pay for, or
I mean, you can't even
or
get
you know, a
476.
soda.
You can't even get 476 pieces of penny candy for $9.
Right, you sure can.
Right.
You
Right.
can't even get 476 pieces of penny candy anymore. So, but the strong roots is because my roots are grounded in this state of Georgia. This is my mom's family's land, and one of the things that when Tia and I first got married in May, 3 things happened all within a very short time frame. We got married. Right after that, my book came out. So May 3rd, we got married. May 11th, my book came out. And by May 17th, we had started Strong Roots 9.
Wow.
But how the Strong Roots we first started off was the fact that we have a mother oak tree that's here that is about 300 plus years old. So you can imagine those roots go way, way down, right? And go out, right?
At the same time period, I also learned that I had a 3 times great grandfather who was born in Glenn County, where we live now. So I found out a couple weeks after we got married that I also can trace back my Gullah Geechee heritage back 6 generations now. And if it were not for marrying Matthew, I was living in Philly right before we got married. Go Birds. So
go Pope.
Go Pope, go. So that really me the
father.
I think we lost you off.
In South Carolina.
Right. So
I think
we
great grandfather was born in Brunswick, Georgia, in Glenn County in 1820. The road that is out in front of our
Matthew, we lost you for a second.
To get to our farm is called 82, Interstate 82. You can literally take Interstate 82 from where we are right now and drive all the way to the 125 acres that Tia's family owns.
In Wetumpka, Alabama.
So when we started talking, I was like, our roots are way stronger. We talk about a 200-year return, 1820 to 2021, for your 3 times great grandfather, Bill McDonald, for Tia to come back to the same place.
So I just want to make sure
we're strong roots and the number 9.
Did you lose us?
We lost you for a second, but you all are back. So we got you. We have you all back, and I think that we gathered just about everything that you all said about your family and everything like that, and how you all came together and things like that. And what I think is fascinating for us is that you all in this day and age are talking about over 500 acres of land. In an era in which no one wants to talk about people having and owning land in this area of the South. I mean, it just seems so fascinating that you all have 500 acres of land. I'm just trying to get that in the scale.
Well, now we're down to 50 acres. However, if you are Black and live on this road that are across from us, we are interconnected by marriage, and all of those. Back as slaves, we had money, so we had land. As people married into our family, they could on it.
moving to.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm just sitting here. I mean, very, very, very rarely am I. Yeah. Am I just blown away by something? You know.
Well, that's a big number to even say out loud. You know,
Right.
that's a big number to even say out loud. But I think it's very interesting that, you know, how interconnected we can find out we can be if we just look a little deeper. So, Tia and Matthew, you guys talk about, you know,
I think we lost
growing.
them. I think we lost them for a second, Chef
Yeah,
Stephan. Of course, they're out there on the farm and everything like that. I mean, just imagine that, you know, and understanding. Oh, there we go. They're coming back. We'll get you guys, you know, time to set up and everything. No problem.
there you go. There you go.
All right, we're going to time to set up. So, you know, Todd, Chef Todd Richards here, of course, the great Chef Stephan. We're on Roots Heart Soul Podcast, Heritage Radio Network. You know, we're going to get let. Of course, Matthew and Tia Rayford get reset up and get a little bit better connection to Wi-Fi. But we just, you know, really just heard something that was so just mesmerizing, that in their family heritage that we hear these stories about Black culture, Black foodways, and things like that, where they had a family that had, you know, combined over 500 acres of land in, you know, in between Georgia and Alabama. I mean, especially down that Brunswick area and they, you know, near the waterways and things like that. I mean, Stephan, how does that compare to like what's going on in Haiti, like when people own that land down there? You know, while we give
Listen,
Matthew and them time to get that up again.
actually, we have people in Haiti through generations who have owned a ton of land, even at this amount. And I think what has happened is that through colonization, and you know, the when the U.S. In 1915 took over Haiti, and then we had you know, all these different things happening. A lot of these families, these older families, you know, lost their land. You know, you had political situations where people would go and go up to your land and say, we'll you know, you will take it over.
Well, we had, so to be clear, also, we had eminent domain happening here as well. So there's a part of our property that was at one point not ours, that was part that the Southern Railroad took from us, that runs, Todd, if you remember when you were here, the area next to where you cooked at,
yes,
that was across, right? That is the old Southern Railroad that ran from Waycross to the port.
Okay.
To the port. So, and just some historical content of where we're located at in Georgia. Brunswick, Georgia is one of the original 5 ports. Thanks, man. One of the original 5 ports that George Washington put into place.
Okay.
So when you think about that and the founding of the 13 colonies and all of those kinds of things, this was a Georgia port before Savannah.
Okay.
It was a strategic place because at the time the Spaniards ran up and down the coast all the way up as far away as Virginia and back. So the Osabawa hog comes off of Osabawa Island. So the Spaniards, every place that they came to, they dropped off food and the likes, oranges, hogs, cows, all of those kinds of things. So as they traveled, when they needed to eat, they could just go in and hunt the things that they had left or corralled the things. So the Piney Longhorn cattle, that ended up becoming feral. Like there were just They just out there, just roaming, right? The Osprey hogs, same thing. So when we're talking about some of those southern foodways and food, there are a lot of things that we can trace all the way back to Mother Africa for sure. And we can also trace all the way back to the Spaniards. And if we get into the whole conversation of the Spaniards being ruled by the Moors for 500 years, you then have that added into how things are done here on the coast. You're still going to see tabby houses made out of seashells and all of those kinds of things. So that I just want to say that in the context of the place and where we are and food.
Well, I just want to make sure that we clarify something for our listeners and viewers. Is that Georgia? Everyone associates Georgia with Atlanta, and Atlanta is landlocked.
Yeah.
So there's parts of Georgia that is actually coastal. Am I saying that correctly? I mean, I know I'm saying it correctly, but I just want to make sure that people understand that.
Yeah. 100 miles.
100 miles. Okay.
100-mile coastline.
Right, and it's not only limited to port cities. There's also it's oysters that we have, the sappalos and the clams and things like that, and that is more vast than necessarily what people might think. Is just thinking of Atlanta, and understanding that one of the major revenue centers for Georgia is in our agriculture.
Absolutely.
Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that people give context to people. Yeah.
So when you talk about grow, curate, and cultivate products, services, and experiences that nourishes the body and the soul from the Black lens, it's a very interesting choice of words. What do you guys mean by that?
That is, and
the old ways.
Yeah, the old ways of agriculture. Right. So everything for us starts with the soil. It starts with the soil and it ends with the soil. Mm-hmm. So every single part of our process of creating any of our products starts with the soil and treating the land in the old ways, where we're using natural ways to do pest control, to feed our animals, to harvest. Just as an example,
yeah. So we'll give you two quick examples of things that we do here. So this is called mimosa, and it's
You've seen these flowers everywhere. You see them everywhere, right?
Wow. Right.
Mm-hmm. This is a natural anxiety relief, cleanses the liver, and helps with depression.
Hell, I need to send that. Need to send that over now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take as much as I'm on the road.
Right.
Right. That's not the usual mimosa I'm used to season, but hey,
exactly.
Right.
So going from it's an invasive plant that is not native to this area. It's native to Asia. However, it's here now, and what we can do with this is turn it into a tincture. So we've got some 229 vodka.
Oh yeah, 229 vodkas. Georgia vodka. Right. And then all we do is
cover it with the alcohol, let it steep for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then we've got a tincture that we sell online, farmers markets, a couple of shops in the area, that we are preserving the land that we live on and taking what we need.
So I mean, just that. So that tincture. So I don't want to assume that everyone knows. Can you define what the tincture is to make sure that everyone understands what that is?
So tinctures are usually made from, leaves, bark, those kinds of things. And it's an extract, and we use alcohol to do the extraction without any heat.
Okay.
So we use something powerful enough to pull all of the volatile oils, all of the medicine pretty much out of this plant.
Right.
So that's why it has to sit for like 6 weeks.
Okay.
If you look, if you can see behind us,
I'll pull some down.
okay, we have lion's mane,
which is good for brain health.
right? Rosemary mint oil, which is good for skin,
hair.
scalp, hair.
Oregano
oil. We even we had a tree fall that was an eastern cedar, so we made the eastern cedar tinctures here. Pine needle tinctures here.
Making a bitters.
We're finishing up a bitters from Satsuma oranges that we got from a farmer up in Jessup, about 30 miles from here. And then we put all of our peppers in here, habanero, poblano. We have the skins in here. I don't know if you can see, like right here is vanilla bean from Uganda. And then we also do the exact same thing here. So we make our own vanilla extract. We bring in Uganda vanilla beans, Rwandan vanilla beans, and vanilla beans from the Congo and make our own vanilla extract. So all of our, like this vanilla extract right here has been going since 3/10/2024, right? And this is all we have. Well, we have a little bit left. And what we do after we do this part is we then pull whatever's left and make our own vanilla sugar.
All right, you guys over there selling vanilla like it's like hot on the street. Like we're gonna. I mean, I'm like, you know, I'm just a nerd, and I know Stephan, you're muted right now, so I don't think you hear you. But
this is just right. out of this world amazing.
Yeah,
because
I mean, our thing is think about this from a black lens. The only reason we have vanilla beans is from a black slave that made it work.
Wow.
That pollinated the flower, right? So that's the black lens, right? We made this. Ain't nobody else make this. It's because of us that it exists.
I would have loved, you see, this is the kind of connection that make me
right.
That excites me. I would have loved to have brought you guys to Haiti.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
We can do that too, because part of our whole experience here is, and both of you are going to agree with this without a shadow of a doubt, food is medicine, and the people that originated with the food as medicine are people with melanin. We always believed that food was the reason and the season for us. We only ate during certain seasons. We only crafted during certain seasons. So when I say melanin, I'm including my indigenous brothers and sisters that are from Turtle Island, right? From where we are. I've also said this. We know where we are and where we come from. We are a stolen people on stolen land. We know that. So we try our best to practice as though we know those things have happened and give homage to all of that. We use what we have to keep ourselves okay.
Yeah.
And then create products that as we create them, like our rosemary finishing salt. We started this because we got 4 or 5 big giant rosemary bushes. How much rosemary are you going to use? We did the Choco Express. Tia and I were sitting around and we had already brought in coffee from Rwanda, which there's some folks up in the Atlanta market that actually bring it in for us, roast it for us, and then we added that to cocoa. Because when you think chocolate, you don't think Europe outside of chocolatiers. but we know where it comes from, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So then, you know, Tia started a whole bunch of other stuff like this one right here, the Aura 99 or Doro 99 comes from Tia's strong Italian background, being raised in an area in New York where Italians are dominant as the black neighborhood. So she grew up in as a child.
Went on beard went.
Now, you got what you need for.
We're going to wait for their connection to come back a little bit here. Todd, Chef Todd Richards, of course, the great Chef Stephan. We're on Roots Heart Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network. We were listening to this fascinating story of Matthew and Tia Rayford, their story of how they reconnected their families, you know, from centuries ago, and the great and wonderful products that they're producing now, you know, at their area in Brunswick, Georgia. I mean, I have so many more questions on their farm. I have so many, you know, as a host of a show, you know, we have, you know, our responsibilities to keep it going. But as the chef and nerds of the business that we are, you know, it is so crazy. Like I'm sitting here in my mind, like I got a recipe for this, I got a recipe for that, I got a recipe for that. Oh, you got satsumas, you know, tinctures, you know.
The funny thing is, you know, you're thinking one way,
Right.
one way, and I'm already thinking, I'm like, you know, when I don't think you were there in Haiti that year when we did a tour of the only rum. He is the son of the original barbacoa maker. He's the grandson of the original barbacoa maker in Haiti. Okay, as we know, rum, you know, and he is the only certified taster, or he's got a weird title, but he was putting together barks and all kinds of different spices to put together this rum. He's got this rum called
yeah, that's a good name. It's not, but that's a good name. Yeah.
So the rum is named after the Jamaican the Jamaican slave that came to Haiti and helped to start the Haitian Revolution back in the 1800s.
Right.
It's called Boukman.
We're in the
Boukman rum.
It's called Boukman rum.
Okay.
I think you tasted some of that.
Yeah, of course. You know, there's not too many rums that haven't gone down this throat over here. You know, so yeah. So Tia and Matthew, you know, there's one thing that I really just want to really get people to understand here. You know, we got about 10 more minutes here on Roots Heart Soul podcast. Is that, you know, what is the responsibility of us as culinarians, as chefs, not only to preserve the heritage, but something that Chef Stephan was reading your bio about the future of it. What is our responsibility to ensure that the future is there for our generation to continue to inspire each other, but also the generation that comes after us?
Absolutely.
I think one of the things I tell people is once you hit 30 years old, all the things that you do are really about the future. Because between 30 and 40, let's say you decide to partner up and have children. The moment you have one child, the only thing you're truly working for is for that child to have a future, and for any child that comes after that has a future. Right?
Okay,
now, if you don't have any children, it's still the same thing. Because once you pass 30 and in 10 years you hit 40, the first thing you start thinking about is, okay, I'm about to be 50 and I need to understand how to do Our responsibility is to ensure that our children's children's children are able to do better with less. Because if we look at the environment right now, there's so many things T and I could go into talking about of just the 4 years of her living here and watching no hurricanes to, oh my God, right? From 52 inches of rain here to almost 82 inches of rain here, right? So we're not going to get into the global and all the things. What I'm saying is there's a lot of stuff that's happening that if we aren't showing the next generation, whether they're our children or someone else's, how to do the thing right. Because there's not one chef that I know that has ever said, I took a raggedy strawberry and elevated it. What we say is, I got this pristine strawberry from this local whatever, and I raised it up. So we need to be able to show our children, how do you plant something? What time of year do you plant something? Do you do it according to the moon phases? Do you do it according to old letters like we do here at the farm? How do you do these things? Because the reality is survival. And that's one thing that I would say people of color have been working on surviving for so long through every situation that now as culinarians, we need to ensure that we are showing people where food comes from, that we're people that I'll use this as a perfect example, and I'm glad you asked. We need to show people that these are eggs that are all fertilized. We're getting ready to take these eggs, put them in the brooder, and we're going to have 30 more eggs. However, I left it outside. We have another, how many?
60.
Another 60 eggs that are ready to be eaten.
I think in thinking about very specific goals, if you look at how we eat food in this country, in 2 generations, we don't know where our food comes from. The majority of us don't know where our food comes from, and our reliance on convenience foods has grown exponentially over the last 45 years. Now we're in an economy where we need to start moving back to understanding how to make our own food, because food is expensive, and how to grow some food items. You don't have to grow everything, and you don't need a 50-acre farm to sustain yourself. But understanding that how to utilize food that you grow in multiple ways. You know, we use our eggs in multiple different ways, whether we're making Alfredo or salt carrot egg yolks, or making things.
We take the shells and dry them and cook, and then give them back into the soil because it's calcium.
Here's some scallions. I don't know if you can see the scallion roots. Matthew and I have not purchased scallions in 4 years.
Yeah.
Because we've been able to take the roots and just continue to grow them. And just
even in apartment living, though, that is something attainable to save your scallion roots, right? Okay.
So
just want to make sure.
I started growing in my Philly row home. And just growing things in my backyard. And I had 160 square feet in the backyard, and I would grow what I could. You know, moving to a 50-acre farm, it's like, okay, how do I translate this for others? For me, it's easy because I have been that person. You can grow potatoes in your backyard, even if you don't have that much. But I think our legacy is going to be dependent upon, as Matthew was saying, teaching future generations about these ways, because it's about survival and being able to take care of ourselves and not always expecting a meal to be ready in 3 minutes.
Matter of fact, I'll ask Tia a question that she loves to answer. When people come to our house Did they say we have food?
We have ingredients.
We have ingredients. We don't have food.
We've been told we have ingredients. We don't have food.
People come in the house and like, wait, y'all just pulled out half a whole and are talking about.
I mean, is that not the most delicious, the delicious life? You know.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny that you know Tia and Matthew are talking about ingredients as we love to have just ingredients in Haiti, man.
Yeah.
We love to just take a chicken out of our space and just cleaning it up and cooking it. But it's funny how experience seems to change perspective.
I just want to say this, Stephan, man. This is our 33rd, 34th episode. 33rd episode. I believe you reminded me of this year. We've almost done a whole. We're almost at 3/4 of a year. Of Roots Heart Soul podcast. And it's so crazy. For us to be at this point. Of RHS on Heritage Radio Network. We have, of course, we have Tia and Matthew joining us back here,
and we're still learning the podcast game.
Well, not only we're starting learning the podcast game, but but we can keep getting people that keep blowing. Like, very rarely, do we can get our minds blown, in here.
Listen, one of the things that I've enjoyed the most in doing this project, and I call this. I call this to the project because really what it has done for us is that it has taught us so many different things coming from of who we are. The many people that we have met through this podcast has taught us so much about who we are. And when I hear Matthew and Tia talking about, we have to go back to where we came from to understand where we want to go for the next century, for the next 100 years.
Right.
I think it's amazing.
So Stephan,
my question to you was going to be, after the accolades and the experience that you've garnered, both of you, in your career, for you to go, and people would say, well, you went backwards. I don't think you did.
No.
Now we're making vodka and sake and all of that stuff. But to really put it into play.
Let me tell
Yeah. Go ahead.
So to put this into context for me, my grandparents left the Black Belt of Alabama and moved north during the Great Migration in the late 40s to 1950s. So my family moved to Dayton, upstate New York. I grew up in Connecticut, and I have moved back to the farm.
Wow.
And there is not one person that has looked at me and said, "Are you crazy? What are you doing?"
No, I would never say that.
This is real.
Right.
Like, going back to the old ways makes sense because it's sustainable for our planet. It's sustainable as individuals to be able to take care of each other.
Right.
And we're also taking care of the land.
Right.
Which we owe a debt to
our ancestors.
Yeah. And the land that we live on, in our efforts of making sure that there's something greater for the next generations. Because if we don't, we're not going to be here.
Yeah, right.
The planet will heal itself.
Right.
But the amazing stuff that you guys are doing, the amazing products that you guys are doing and developing, and most of all, what I love is that, you guys are not keeping things for yourselves.
No.
You guys want to share this knowledge. You guys want to develop others who have the ability to take this knowledge and then take it further. This is what keeps inspiring me to say, you know what? The reason why I went back to Haiti in 2010 after the earthquake and stayed, you guys are giving me the blueprint on that reason.
Yeah.
Come on home.
So come on home.
Come on home.
As a matter of fact, Stephan, I'm gonna say this. I know we're rolling down.
All right.
I met Todd Richards 13 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I met him, he told me he needed some collard greens.
Yep.
I went.
Be careful what you ask for.
Right. Be careful what you ask for. I drove my Ford F-150 to a farmer that I knew and said, hey, I need to get some greens and I need to take them to the chef that needs some fresh greens right now. And what I brought Todd was a Ford F-150 full bed of whole collard greens. I stood there and picked. Like the guy was like, if you're going to take them, just go ahead and pull them up. Yeah. And I literally pulled them up and moved my truck, pulled through, And he was like, I said, well, how much do I owe you? Now, notice that I said it was a Ford F-150 full bed. He was like, are y'all going to really cook all these greens? I said, yep, we're getting ready to cook all of them. He said, well, you driving a 150, I'm only going to charge you 150. So I want you to think about a truck full. And when I pulled up Todd, when they told Todd that I had came back home to get greens, Todd was like, what? Why you got to go all the way to get greens like that? Because he said he wanted them fresh. I could have went to Publix and got some bags already cut up for him.
I would have loved to see this man's face. Looking at this Ford 150 full of fresh greens.
God.
Yeah.
Sometimes your reputation precedes you. You know.
What you wish for.
It always does.
But he didn't even romanticize it. I mean, he's coming up, right, and they bouncing in the truck, Stephan, and the sun is shimmering on these greens, bound, and he pulled around the corner, and I'm like, this dude really got. I mean, and what makes them different, and now we're getting into the nerds of a cookie, right? But when you pull the stem, it's like you trying to rip it, like it just melts away. It just folded away.
Yep. It was
just folded away.
When I say it's a big difference between getting greens at the grocery store that are bundled, that were harvested days ago, as compared to getting it right out of the ground into a pot.
It's a different thing.
It's a different thing.
And let me tell you,
I will open up to anybody and say, anytime you can go somewhere and get a pure, fresh product that is not old, you are only working with an ingredient. You are not working. So collard greens is a vegetable just on its own.
Yeah.
So that's an ingredient for making collard greens. And a collard is the original green. Collards and kales are the original greens. Brassicas. The original brassicas. So all the cabbages, the bok choys, all that. That's what it started from.
So imagine the lesson that I was getting when I sat there at the Bay Haven Food Festival and watched these two put on a class. And I call that a class because damn it, you ain't getting that anywhere. You ain't getting that in a classroom.
Team Atlanta.
You ain't getting that in a classroom, man.
Team Georgia, boy.
Okay, I sat there and watched them
Raining camps.
Put that hog and organize that hog.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, man, what an experience.
Wow.
Hey, that's what I want us to all understand. Our food is the way it is, not because we spent hundreds upon thousands of dollars to make it. Our food comes directly off of our farm. Most of the things that we eat, short of like heavy cream, butter, stuff like that. However, every now and then we get heavy cream and whip that thing until it becomes butter. And then we add our salts and all our other stuff. And now we have a compound butter that started off as heavy cream.
And we picked the herbs.
And we picked all the fresh herbs, right.
Wow.
Man.
So it's just a different way of understanding that if you go back to our grandparents, when you were talking 90 years old, and say, this is how we're getting ready to eat, they'd be like, baby, we've been eating like that. That ain't brand new, baby. That what you doing, that ain't new. We always ate like this.
I'm going to speak for our listeners and ask the question, like, what y'all kitchen smell like? You know, because we
yes.
Full show, baby.
You know, Stephan, go ahead and start wrapping this up.
No, man, that's a beautiful question to close the show. What does your kitchen smell like right now?
You know,
smells like vanilla. We made banana bread.
We had so many eggs, and all of a sudden we have banana trees out here, and this will be the first year that they're really like starting to have bananas. So we have ice cream banana trees, and so Tia was like, "I'm gonna perfect this banana bread recipe." So I was like, "Okay." So you see how many eggs we have that are fertilized. Tia was like, I'm just going to use da-da-da-da.
And use some of the vanilla that
some of the vanilla that we have, the eggs that we have.
And then we take the banana peels and we put them in water.
Right.
Because the water absorbs the potassium, which we pour back into the plants that we have outside.
Right. So it's a full thing. And then we take the peel and throw it in the compost. So it's like, it's full circle. The banana's grown. It's da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, we take
I used to run after my mother like crazy for doing these things in the backyard. Okay, thinking she was crazy.
Nah, that's the original way, baby. I mean, we make Tia does focaccia bread, and it's some of the best focaccia bread. Matter of fact, Todd, you got to go get some tomato pie while you're in Philly.
Okay. Tell me where to go.
I'll send you some places to go.
Tell me where to go. I'm telling you. Tia sent me for me to go.
If you eat Tia's tomato pie, you will go right back to wherever you ate it at when you're in Philly, because it tastes like you from there.
Okay, so Todd, since you're in Philly, you need to go to Reading Terminal Market.
Okay.
And get a roast pork sandwich from DeNick's.
I actually will be in that area tomorrow. I will be.
Dude.
The roast pork sandwich is the
Philly sandwich. It's
okay. Are you right?
There is Philly cheesesteak.
Yes,
right?
You can go to Pat's.
You can go to Pat's.
You can go to Jim's.
You can go Gino's.
But the real Philly sandwich is a roast pork sandwich.
Right. Listen. Make sure you have my UPS address. No. I'm not playing, man. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure you have my UPS address.
I'll wrap it up tight, you know.
Okay. Wrap it up tight.
It's a cellophane. Old school. Old school.
Hey, how many times have we been in Philly and bought everything from honey to the Knicks to even was it Amarosa?
Yeah,
Amarosa is the original roll. And packed it up in our suitcase.
Yeah.
Came back, and literally, when you unzip the suitcase,
right,
you are transported right back to Reading Terminal. You're like,
you gotta go to Reading.
There's no way. Reading Terminal Market.
My UPS address is in your text box. Make sure you overnight some stuff for me to Orlando because I have not been eating well in the last couple of weeks.
Oh you need some of that medicine that they got over there. So on that counter behind you.
Make sure you all, tonight after we get off this and everything, please send us both your addresses. We'd love to send you
some spices,
absolutely
our products, and and we have like little cards that say, "Hey,
I still have the taste of that grits in my mouth, right?
The olive oil grits.
I still have the taste of that grits in my mouth, right?
Unbelievable.
It's listen, ladies and gentlemen, unless you understand the world of food that we live in, if you are a chef, you are eating this up just like us.
Absolutely.
We could be talking to Tia and Matthew for hours.
We'd love to come back.
But it's time to go.
Yeah.
And before we go, Tia and Matthew, very quickly, please let our listeners know where to find you, where to connect with you, where to buy your products. Important, so very important. Where we can find your products. Just a quick share, and then it'll be until next time.
Absolutely. So we do have farm tours here at the farm in Brunswick. We have a social club, Royal and Blue. You can find all this information on strongroots9.com. We'll also be in Philadelphia on June 8th at the Great Chefs event, which is a fundraiser started by Mark Vetri and Alex's Lemonade Stand to raise money for pediatric cancer.
I will be here all the way through June 18th, so I will see you all here in Philly.
Okay. All right.
I will definitely be here. I mean, it's been so. I mean, this is like when you get the cousins and them together, all we need is some a deck of cards, some dominoes, bottle rum. This is very.
I may be able to make a trip.
Yeah,
let's go.
And here's an offer that T and I are going to give both of you. If you want to do a part 2 to this conversation,
absolutely,
let's do it here at the farm.
Absolutely, that's done.
Let's do it here at the farm, and we do it live in a 2-part thing where we harvest, cook, talk about it, all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely,
and then people can actually, you know what I'm saying, see what we're doing.
That's a done deal.
That's a done deal.
Let's do it.
That's a done deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it right here. Part 2 is going to be at the farm.
At the farm.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And Chef Todd and I are going to be together with the amazing Chef Matthew and Chef Tia Rayford to do this thing where we cook, we share, we talk about connections.
We have you a girlfriend.
We talk about life. And I may have a girlfriend by then.
Or we will be taking applications live at the dinner. Before we go, I would be remiss not to give a shout out to Amy Condon, who did the most delicious job in assisting both of us in writing 2 award-winning and wonderful books. I know the world is waiting for our next books to come out, and certainly she will be involved. I'd like to thank everyone, tonight on a great Tuesday night. And you're listening to Roots Heart Soul podcast on Heritage Radio Network.